I think we're looking at the Panthers and the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup final. And, even the Knights, man, they lose Pietrangelo, and then right around the corner, Rasmus Anderson's like putting out quotes. I'd like to play for the Golden Knights this year. It's like, okay, whatever. Go ahead. So book it next June, Mike. Golden Knights, Florida Panthers. Should be a fun one. Yeah. That sounds like a great Stanley Cup final, if I may. But
yeah, as Jared points out, a lot of palm trees. And we got Drew coming in also. Some GMs are going all out on this new cap space. Others, and I think Yzerman is in this boat, are kind of bargain shopping till they got to pay their own players to make a big splash.
Yeah.
And we'll go over Chris Brisboy. I think I'm going to use your comment as kind of a jumping off point. Where Chris says, and welcome, Chris, I'm trying to keep the faith, finding it very difficult to do. I think that's why Shapiro's comment is so important. Because really only feels like Florida, Vegas, and I don't know, do you want to say the Rangers?
No.
At least because they stole the player that we kind of wanted.
I have no idea what the Rangers are doing. Like, it just kind of, they're all over the place. But I know what you mean. I
think that part of it then is we can't. So Yzerman needs to do two things. One, I would start releasing when he makes phone calls and contract offers to people, kind of like the Tigers did with Alex Bregman. Just at least show us that you tried, because right now the feeling is that you didn't. When really what probably happened is these guys are like, yeah, don't bother, Steve. I only want to go into this Stanley Cup with a Stanley Cup team. No offense, I don't care about history. I want to win right now, and I want to play where it's hot. I don't want to be in Detroit right now. So I think that's kind of the flaw in putting all this valuation in free agency for this team. Because what you can get is like guys who are going to fill out your AHL roster. If you're not one of the top, 1, 2, 3 teams, or you're not Los Angeles or New York. So this should not be a path that you should not be putting a lot of eggs in this basket. So I can't really fault Steve for the Marner thing, because Marner, this was probably way too close to Toronto and Canada for it to be a real option. I want to get the hell out of here. I just want to go live an anonymous life in Las Vegas and win hockey games.
I heard that point a lot today, so I'm glad you brought that up.
So I think the biggest, I don't know if we want to say disappointment, because you can only make the trades that other teams want your stuff. I think that's where we're a little frustrated with Steve, and that's where I wish. I don't know if Noah Dobson was the end-all be-all, right, to rescue our franchise. But those kind of trades, you're playing the lottery, whether it's the draft or it's free agency, and you got to kind of Billy Zane and Titanic and make your own luck and make trades. And that's where Steve's got to kind of change his focus point. It's got to be Billy Zane and Titanic.
Sometimes I really love you, Mike. That is a really good one. I did like brand new. Actually, maybe there is room for us to pick up Brent Burns, because I forgot the Florida Panthers were like, Jeff Petrie, come on down for a league minimum. All right, so let's start talking about what happened this weekend, because we also, we had a whole NHL draft that's happened since our last episode, so we can touch on what happened there. You kind of touched on, we ended last week talking about what we wanted to do at the first round pick, which is trade it for anything that we could use now. But I think I think we walked away last week and said there were a couple players on our mind that even if we stole a guy, we wouldn't have been as happy as we would have been with what we ended up with, which we'll talk about Carter Bear in a little bit. But first, Mike, the now, Peter Mrazek, which I like how somebody put this online. They were like, we traded a guy we should have never traded for John Gibson. I like that point. I think it would be funny if we just brought back Joe Veleno and put him on Grand Rapids at this point, because he, that was part of some of the guys that were moving around, and then he got bought out, I think, a couple days ago too. But anyway, let's go to the trade. Detroit Red Wings trade Peter Mrazek, a second-round pick in 2027, fourth-round pick in 2026 for John Gibson. Mike, for the first time in a few years, we have a legit starting goaltender. I would say even with the fallback on some statistics a couple years ago, he caught up a little bit this past season. But I'm just calling out the fact that this isn't us filling in gaps with guys who are the Alex Lyons, who were backups, the Talbots, who are still on our team, but were the backups on their former franchise. And John Gibson was the former backup for the Ducks. Of course, Lucas Dostal has just taken over that team. But John Gibson certainly had done his own. You just, at some point, your new goaltender gets too young, he gets too good, and the old guy's got to go. The $6 million cap has to go. Mike, Ducks kind of leapfrogging the wings on, like, is it time to go for the playoffs? But that's a conversation for another day. What the Red Wings have right now, I think, as much as we give Steve a hard time, this is a definite upgrade over Peter Mrazek. And I could not, I'm going to say it correctly, I could not care less about a second-round pick in 2027 and a fourth-round pick in 2026. I couldn't.
The batting average on second-round picks, panning out for any NHL team, what is it, like 15%? Something like that?
No, it's probably that
seems
high. Yeah,
even that sounds too high. So we gave up a couple AHL depth guys in a couple of years for a guy who's going to probably start 50 games for us if things are going well. I know there was some concern about is this guy's career not over, but as far as counting on him as a number one, is that over? But you gotta feel pretty optimistic about that save percentage, right? At .912. It's for him the highest it's been in like 5 or 6 years. Because he did have a couple of turtle years where he was 88, 89. Not as close as he was in his peak when he was starting 60 games for the Ducks, and had that .926. Woo, is that beautiful? So I don't know if we're even necessarily shooting for that.